Welcome to the Lounge of Travefy Academy, where we get to hear from travel industry voices and experts to learn more about their story and also what they see on the horizon for travel professionals. And I'm Stephanie Grice, and our guest today is Guida Botelho, who is Director of Education at the Travel Institute. So welcome to the Lounge. We're so excited for you to join us here today.
Thank you, Stephanie. So appreciative. And thank you to everybody who's listening.
Yes, this is awesome. And I've already chatted with you before this, and I'm excited because I started taking the trip kit, and I'm going to be taking the TAP test through Travel Institute. And once I saw, because I've always seen Travel Institute around, and once I started exploring, I was like, oh my God, what an amazing resource for people getting into the industry, people already into the industry. So had to have you on here.
Oh, thank you. We so appreciate that.
Yes, no, it's awesome. I love the things I'm learning. It's really awesome. But before we dive into all of that, though, can you share a little bit more just about your personal background and how you got into the travel industry?
Oh, sure. Of course. I'm happy to. I've been in the industry now 23 years, going on 24. But it's flying by. I feel like it's going by really fast. But yeah, I've been around for a little bit. I have a degree in travel. And so I went to Johnson & Wales University for a travel degree and a hospitality degree. And then I was a teaching assistant in the agency side. So the Johnson & Wales owned a travel agency at the time in the campus that we were in. And so I worked there and I was a teaching assistant. So as part of that, I had my own clients. I learned to be an agent. So I was going to school and being an agent. And then I was helping other students who were coming into that, to that program, go through the agency and learn the ins and outs and so forth. So that was really the education there. When I graduated, I stayed with the agency for a couple of years and really just stayed on the frontline side of things. And then I started to miss that teaching component, and I really kind of appreciated sharing knowledge and just hearing new ideas and so forth. So I actually was reading one of my travel career development textbooks, which you are going through.
Yep.
And I was just reading it because one of the students had it, and it was a book that I studied when I first went to school. And I said, maybe I can reach out to this organization and see, like, what do they do? Maybe I can work with them. And sure enough, next thing you know, I was there for a few years with the Travel Institute. And then I decided that I needed to go back to the front line. I missed the clients. I was in training, but I wasn't in the front line. So I needed to go back. So I left and I went back into the travel agency side, into the retail side of the business. And again, I had my clients there, but I was hired as a training manager. So it really was a mix of both worlds. I was able to be on the front lines, but I was able to train and educate. And at the time when I joined that particular agency, we were small, probably like 40, 50 agents, maybe even less. And then I was in charge of all the onboarding, all the training for corporate, leisure, back office management, but I still had my agents. And that's what gave me the edge. I always am a believer that I shouldn't be training or teaching anyone unless I actually know what I'm talking about. So, and I'm doing it. Like, I wanted to do it, not just say it. So that was a lovely job. I loved it. But then again, after about 9 years of being there, I felt the need to come back up. So at the Travel Institute, we are educating the entire industry, right, as a whole. At an agency level, I was just within that agency. We were growing and it was beautiful. And I could see immediately the impact of any training, which is absolutely wonderful. As a trainer yourself, you understand that. But I needed to come back and see and have a bigger impact in the industry. So lo and behold, the president of the Travel Institute had reached out to me because we were working on a small project together. And she said, we would love to have you back one day. And I said, maybe time is right. So fast forward, not 8 years ago, I came back to the Travel Institute, and since then, I now oversee and do all of the content development. So the team that I run, we do all the content development, we do all the curriculum designing, instructional designing. We have thousands of students, so it's not just 100 here or so. We have literally thousands of students that come through different programs that we offer. So I'm always engaging with those students. And it's an interesting concept because the ratio is 1 to many, right? So all of our content is self-paced. Therefore, the student goes through the training on their own. So our focus is really on the content development and the self-paced experience. And that's really proven to be a fun job, but it's also allowed me as a professional to really always see the industry, respect the industry, and very importantly, elevate the industry, continue to elevate. And that's really, when I look at it, that's my job. My job is to always look at the industry and say, how can we improve the skills for those professionals so they elevate themselves? That's every day. That's what goes through my mind. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I love that. And that's what's so cool is that it's not just for, new agents, or it's just always how can you elevate everything. So a perfect word. I love that. And so you shared a little bit about this already, but for those who might be unfamiliar, what all does the Travel Institute do to help advisors?
Oh gosh. So we've been around since 1964. Okay.
Wow.
We are a nonprofit organization since 1964. And even back then, right, there is no requirement for certification in the travel industry, which is a great pro, I should say, because there is no requirement. So anyone can be a travel agent. Anyone can take care of clients. The con to that is exactly the same. Anyone can be a travel agent and call themselves a travel agent. And unfortunately, the media gravitates to those that do that. Anybody can be, and they don't have to be truly a professional. So, they can bring on this atmosphere, this negative atmosphere to our industry. So back in 1964, the industry came together and they said, we need an organization that's dedicated solely to education and professional development of travel professionals. That was it. All right. So since 1964, our mission and our goals continue to be exactly the same. They don't change. And we every day here at the Travel Institute live this mission. And the mission is to provide quality education to all travel professionals at all levels of your career. So whether you're new to the industry, you're a frontline advisor, you're corporate, you're leisure, you're a supplier, you're a manager, you're an owner. That's quality education. And the second point to that mission is to raise the level of professionalism through certification. So those two go together. That mission since 1964, so what is that? 59 years.
Yeah.
That hasn't changed. That's what we live and pursue every single day here.
Wow, I had no idea since 1964. That's crazy. That is awesome. That's really cool. And it's pretty, it's really cool. I've heard, I can't remember where I was seeing this, but I have seen people say, and you mentioned it too, when someone does get certified, you see it, the training, when they get training, that you can see the difference. So what are those benefits of travel professionals actually gaining certification?
Yeah, sure. And so before I even get to that, if I may, I may even actually tell you a little bit about the different programs we have.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Lead right into that certification benefit. So to go back into that mission, how do we do that? How do we help these individuals, right? So we have several different programs with a travel institute. One of the very first programs is the program you just mentioned. You're going through. You are going through the Trip Kit program, or the entry level program. Okay, and that one is designed specifically for those individuals who are new to the industry. Hey, I want to be a travel agent. I want to work in the cruise line industry, whatever it is. I'm new to the industry. So that program is designed for those individuals. There is a standardized test. It's called the Travel Agent Proficiency Exam, which you will be taking as well. And that test is standardized, meaning it's whether you got the education through the Travel Institute, or you got the education through a travel school, or you got the education through a host agency, no matter what, you should be able to pass this standardized exam. So that's the first curriculum program there. The second curriculum, the next three, these are where certification comes in. The first one is the Certified Travel Associate Program, the CTA, okay? The second one is the Certified Travel Counselor Program, the CTC. And the third one is the Certified Travel Industry Executive Program, the CTIE. So each one of these programs is designed for a different level of your career. So the Trip Kit, that entry-level program, that's for somebody brand new. The CTA, the Certified Travel Associate, that's designed for somebody that is selling travel every day. You are planning itineraries, you are dealing with clients. So the content in there is very specific to sales, marketing, communications, planning itineraries, selling all-inclusives, et cetera, et cetera. The program is really in-depth, and we'll talk about the benefits of that in addition to obviously the knowledge. The CTC program, that's designed for those who are in a management position or aspiring to be a manager. They are an owner of an agency. So there, the content is different, because when you are in a management position, you need different skill sets. One of the things that I truly believe in this industry, and I see it happening all the time, is we take our best frontline person. Oh, she's the best salesperson. Let's take her and make her a manager. Okay. And then you sit back and you're like, well, she was a terrible manager. Right. Because she was trained and educated for the front line. Her skills were for the front line. Did you train her in the management side of things, how to build relationships, how to negotiate, how to empower other individuals? So that's really the skill set inside of that CTC. And then the CTIE program, that's designed for those of us who are in a leadership position and probably not dealing with the client day to day anymore. So we're kind of behind the scenes, but we are driving this industry. So I often think of the CTIE fits very well for those who are in a C-level executive position, whether they are at an agency, a consortia, a supplier, etc. And the content there is different. It is about leadership. It's about giving you those leadership skills. So as you can see, the mission that I said earlier is to develop and deliver quality education at all levels of your career, right? That's there. So these 4 programs are really designed for each one of those levels. And then we have a plethora of other training, which is destination training. You mentioned you're going through some in the Trip Kit program. And as I mentioned to you, and right before we got on here, in your Trip Kit program, you have a really in-depth textbook on geography, right? But while you have one chapter on the Caribbean in that particular program you're going through, we have an entire book, online book on just the Caribbean. That's probably 16 to 20 hours, right?
Wow.
So imagine you are reading one chapter and there's a whole
Yeah.
other.
It's
So
crazy.
so we have all of these destination specialists and niche market courses. For example, we just launched a new version of the luxury specialist course. And that's really designed to, again, elevate those who are looking to tap into the luxury market, but to deep dive, learn about the different clients, the market, how to sell to those individuals, how to develop your brand, really well emphasized. So I say this to you because the question is, what's in it for me? How do I benefit from all this? Like, that's great. You just talked about a whole bunch of your programs. How do I benefit from it? Right? And every single person is going to benefit differently. We have in particular about those certification courses in particular, survey after survey shows the same thing. Those who have their CTA or CTC or CTIE continuously sell more and therefore earn more than those that do not. Okay, so we have done a couple of different surveys on this of the industry, large enough surveys that prove that. So immediately when somebody says, what's in it for me? Well, you're going to sell more. Now, why are you going to sell more? It's always the question I ask. Is it just because you got 3 little letters after your name? No. What I do believe is that it's a combination, okay? When you go through these programs, there is a lot of knowledge that if you put into practice, you will be much more efficient, you will sell more, you will be able to identify clients a little bit more, qualify them even better. You'll be able to market yourself. Our new CTA 10th edition, there's a brand new module in there on marketing. That I had so much fun writing it. It was so good. I learned so much. It is so powerful, with so many individuals in the industry participated in it, and they shared a lot of their like true and tried marketing tips. And that's one module inside of a much larger course. So what's in it for you? Sell more, yeah. Be more knowledgeable, be more efficient. But then there's the marketability side of this. And I started off by saying, well, the pro is there's no certification requirement, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to do this. The con is anybody can do this, right? Anybody can be an agent. So when you are certified, so I like to share this kind of visual, right? I share this often. Imagine you're at a travel conference, right? It's lunchtime. Everybody's in the big room. There's a speaker on stage. The speaker announces that there's a group of consumers outside the door, right? And only those who are certified stand up. And the door opens and the consumers come in. Who do you think that they're going to go to? And I always like to leave that visual because that marketability side of it is really impactful. We are seeing, we have a directory on our website for those who are certified. You have to be certified in order to be on this directory. And the numbers to that directory is insane, right? So the leads are coming in. That means the consumer is looking for those who are certified, right? The media has picked up on this. So if you start to look at media articles, whether it's travel and leisure, the Washington Post, I believe there was another one recently on USA Today. There's consumer. Like I believe it was on Fox recently. There was another one on USA Today, I believe, and the Today Show, excuse me. And it's all talking about certification. How do you find the right individual and certificate for travel agents? And the consumer is looking for that certification. So I gave you a very large answer to a very small question, but it needed to be thought out and explained
Yes.
at each
Yeah.
point. Does that make sense?
It totally does. And I actually never realized how the different certifications. So I always thought it was that you start at this one, then you go to the next level, then you go to the next level. But is that not how it works? It's you choose what is your path and you go that way.
Exactly.
Mm.
Now, some do build on each other, right? So, for example, so let's say that you come in to the industry and you're new. Okay, well, you go through the trip kit. You don't have any other knowledge. You can't jump ahead because you need the basics, right? So you start there. All right. So that's kind of a prerequisite. But let's say you've been in the industry for, I don't know, 10 years and you're not certified, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that, right? But you go, you know what? It's about time. Now you decide, well, do I want to manage? Am I a manager, or do I want to stick in the front line? If I want to just stay in the front line, then the CTA is the program you're looking for. And then you build that on and you look at destination training and niche market training and so forth, that gap knowledge. Or you may have someone that will say, you know, I am a manager, I'm aspiring to be a manager. That's where I want to go to. So the CTC requirement, that does require you have the CTA first, okay? So that's the only one there, but I have plenty of individuals who have 5 or more years of industry experience. They are not selling to the front line. The CTIE is really what they want. That's where they go. I have other individuals who come to us and they say, or to me, and they'll say, I've been doing this for 10, 15 years. I don't want to do the CTA. I don't want to do a certification. I don't need it. Okay, I totally respect that. But I could use some freshening up on, and then we look at destination, business, sales training, social media, marketing, all of those pieces. So our premium library is perfect because you're not required to be certified. You're not required to be in a strict program, but rather it's a library. So you pick and choose what you want and you do what's right for you. That's one of the beauties of my job is I always have to look at you and look at your jobs and your positions and the different levels and then say, how can we help them be better at what they do? Does that?
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really awesome. And when for like the destination trainings or, if you do the marketing side, do those have tests at the end, or it's just like you can come to them, educate yourself?
They're both. You can do both.
Okay.
So with all of our destination and niche market courses, and when I say destination, I really want to make this very clear. These are not half-hour courses. These are in-depth training. So when you come to the Travel Institute, you are looking at in-depth education. So let me pick on the Caribbean just because we talked about it earlier. So let's say you do the Caribbean. That's a 15, 20, 25-hour program. Now, you don't have to sit there and do it all at once. You probably have a year to do it. So you can use it in 2 ways. You can use it as a reference guide. Hey, I think I'm going to sell the Caribbean. I think I want to study, but not really. If a client has a question, like I want to be able to look at it, sure, no problem, just like a library. Or you can go through and you go, you know what? I read that entire thing. I could take the test. Yeah. So now you take the test and you become certified on it. So you can do both. Many people, especially where our destinations and niche market courses, we see a lot of individuals doing just as a resource. That's why our premium library works very well, because you can buy these outright. I think they're $89 each. You can buy them outright. Or if you subscribe to our premium library, it's like a library. You go in, you read what you want, you go out, you read, you come back, you're like, I can't be reading that right now. I need to start a new book. And that's what you do. It really becomes very useful and user-friendly. And it's a great way to just instead of sitting here going, oh my gosh, how do I do this?
Mhm.
It's a great resource there. And and if you don't want to take a test, you don't take a test. If that's the fear, because often it is.
It is. It's kind of scary because it's also because that's like my thing right now, and that's the question I was going to ask you next is just what are the best tips for studying when you do have to take a test? Because the majority probably we haven't taken a standardized test in so long, and we didn't like it then. And it's like I'm scared. It is the fear. So what are your tips? What are your best tips for just studying and just getting ready? I know we could have a whole podcast episode on that.
We absolutely could. So I'm not going to take too much time because I do a lot of coaching when it comes to this, more than you probably think. But I will always say to folks, look, you know this stuff. You do. Trust me, you do. All right. But it's the fear of, oh my gosh, I'm going to go blank. Right. And that's a very natural fear. I have high test anxiety. And here I am, the senior director of education. And yet I have high test anxiety. So my tip for folks is always the same. One, whether it's a travel institute program or any other program, it doesn't matter. You have to block time to do it, right? If you don't put time aside to do it, you're just never going to. Okay, so that's tip one. Tip two, when you are studying, always pick the best time that you know is your best time. For me, for example, I'm an early person. The best time for me to study is like once I get up in the morning, 6 to 8 o'clock in the morning. That's when I'm fresh. That's when my mind is at its best, right? My husband, on the other hand, don't even give him anything to study until like 6 or 7 o'clock at night. He's a night owl. He'd rather be reading and studying at 10 o'clock at night. I barely can keep my eyes open by then, So schedule your time, pick the right time for you, and then use all of your tools. And it's almost like going back to school. There are always keywords and vocabulary that you're going to read. Sticky notes, the little cards that we used to write them in, index cards, and word in the front and a description in the back. Those are very useful. But that's like memory. That's really learning to memorize things. That kind of study, you learn it for the test, and then the test is gone, and poof, so does that knowledge. The other piece is to apply that knowledge. All right. So as you are studying, think about, oh, that's a good tip. Can I apply that tip on my next phone call? Can I use that information on the next social media post that I'm going to put? Can I use that information on my next email? Can I use that information on my next phone call, my next coach? When you do that, then you're not trying to memorize it. You are learning it. There's a difference. When the test comes, you read it and you'll go, oh yeah, of course, yeah, I do this, right? But then your test is in front of you. So those are study tips, but then the test is in front of you, right? The test, the questions, the information is there, and you're like, oh Lord, I forgot everything I knew. So the key that I always say, and I can only speak about the Travel Institute's tests, when we develop tests, we are not trying to trick people. We are not trying to find the most obscure information that you could have read in the book, right? That's not the goal. That's not the goal. The goal is to test your concepts. Do you understand the concepts? So when you have a multiple choice question, you have to read the entire question. Most questions have a little bit of info. They set the stage for the question, right? So, okay, well, that set the stage. Remove that. What are they asking? And then you go with your first gut. 2 or 3 are going to be off the bat. No. And then you're going to decide between the multiple choice, like, it could be this, it could be that. Now you go back to either that knowledge that you applied or that memorization piece. And that's one of the best ways there. When it comes to essays, which we do have essays in our test, not for the entry level. The entry level, you don't have to worry, Stephanie. You are set. It's multiple choice. But our other tests do include essays, and most folks panic about that. They go, oh, no, essays, I can't write, I can't. That actually is the opposite. So I want you to think about it from a different perspective if you are going to take an essay test. That's when you make up your points. That's when you prove your answer. Anything you write is partial credit. So if the question is broken down into list and describe, then if you just list, then you get points for that. If you list and describe, then you get points for listing and describing. So if it says list and give an example, well, okay, I listed, but I couldn't figure out how to give an example. At least I got points for listing, oh, I gave an example, but yeah, I couldn't figure out the correct word, that went with that. I know the example, I just couldn't remember the word. That's when things come into play. Essays is your opportunity to prove your point and the fact that you do understand the concept. Does that?
Mm-hmm.
So that settles down that individual. So testing is unique for everybody, however.
It is, yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too that I was going to mention is I know that there's Facebook groups out there and that you can join, and it's really nice to see other people talking about it, and I have noticed that a lot of people do worry about the essay part, and then the people who have done it, they're like, no, like you're going to do great, like. And so it's just kind of, it's very helpful to see the community and people helping each other, which is cool.
You touched on something so unique. So the Travel Institute, we have over 27,000 certified professionals. Wow. Okay. This does not count that entry level program that you're going through. So those numbers are not in there yet, but 27,000 certified. Now that's a very large community and yet a really small community, right? But what I love about that is the camaraderie, the willingness to help. You would think, oh, she's certified, I'm certified, we're competitors. The complete opposite. This community of certified professionals is so willing to help each other. Whether I see it in our CTIE study group, people constantly, oh, I graduated, or somebody will say, oh my goodness, I'm going to take my, actually, I think it was on today's Facebook, on my Facebook group, somebody said, I just requested my test, I'm panicking. Within minutes, you had, I don't know, 5 or 6 people reply back and say, we just took our test, it's not as bad, here's a tip, do this. Everybody, they're so willing to help. What a beautiful community of professionals, and that just goes back to exactly that 1964. What are we trying to build? We're trying to elevate the industry, right? And so just to see it live and to see it still so meaningful in today, it's incredible. But it just makes me proud to be part of it.
It is. It's cool. People cheering you on, and it's awesome community. And where can where can everybody go to get more information on to see which certification might be right for them, or to seeing what's available?
Sure. So www.thetravelinstitute.com. It is a mouthful. So www.thetravelinstitute.com. Our website really includes all of our programs, that showcases each one. We also, and I always encourage folks to do this, we do weekly product reviews, right? So we do weekly, you want to learn more about the CTIE. Okay, join a live webinar, or we do gated, or what we call recorded webinars. So you don't want to wait until next Tuesday. That's fine. Just sign up for the one right there that's recorded. And once you put in your name and email, the recording will pop up for you and the answers is all right there. And that's when we spend quite a bit of time. I call those in-depth, like we go into the different topics, we show you exactly what the program looks like. So you can do that at any time. And of course, we're always just a phone call or email away. Our team, my team, our entire team here is really good about answering the phones, which I love because, it's really good to be able to answer the phones and talk to someone. So our team is so good about that. But also, we have this new system that's connects directly to our website. So let's say you're on our website and you have a question. You pop it into the little chat thing and it goes to us. And I can tell you 100% of the time, we're on it within minutes. So you'll be able to immediately get through us at any time.
So great. I love that. It's so many amazing things just available out there. I mean, I didn't even realize the depth of how much is available, and it's constantly being updated too. That's the thing too. I mean, you have an awesome team back there just putting in, even you're doing some of it too, aren't you?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm part of the team.
Yeah, that's really cool. You're a great teacher.
Fun. Oh, thank you. It's fun. It's so fun. I get to learn so much. I've been doing this for 23 years, like I said, but every day I learn something new. And so my job is to learn that and then go, oh, you need to learn this too, right? So I share that back out. It is so fun to develop content and work with what we call SME, subject matters experts. And I always say, I use this often, the Travel Institute is, and this is going to sound funny, but we're the elevator, right? Mm-hmm. We are the elevator that goes up and down and it stops at the different levels, right? And our job is to bring in those individuals who maybe are new or at different levels of your career. You're coming into the elevator, right? And our job is at each level to provide you with the training that you need. Now, that could be from us, directly from one of us. That could be from a subject matter expert. So we have been doing this for so long, and we have that community of over 27,000 that we tap into. And like I said, they're so willing to share their knowledge that often, for example, yesterday we just had a webinar on honeymoons and selling all-inclusives. And she's certified. She's been doing this for a while. And she was so willing to share all of her tips with the individuals attending that session. So we're the elevator. We just go up and down. We provide the opportunity. And as people come in, we bring out the content and education. And that's so fun. That's so fun.
That's great. That's a good analogy. I like that. The elevator. Yeah, it's perfect. Just helping wherever anyone is, that is where you will help. So that's really cool. And I'll make sure to put the website link in our show notes as well. So feel free to check that out listening. But just want to thank you so much again. This is awesome. I mean, so much. I can't wait. I'm going to go on there after this and see all of the options, just so many things. But thank you, everyone, for tuning into this episode of the Lounge of Travefy Academy. And of course, thank you to our special guest, Guida, for joining us today. This was so awesome. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast or subscribe to our YouTube channel for all of the latest episodes. And we hope you enjoyed our conversation today and join us again. But for now, stay safe and we'll catch you on the next flight.